Hello, beautiful people. Oh my goodness. Do you know how cool it is to come and hang out with your besties? Like, my goodness, I get to hang out with two of my bestest friends on the planet. And it's so cool. So, welcome, Melissa. Thank you for being here. And Jesse, thanks for running with me, both of you.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, welcome, Melissa. We're so excited to ask you just all that you are. I mean, I know I'm kind of new, and I know Sally really well, and we're putting on this summit, and we're so excited to have you as a speaker. And I'm actually excited to ask you questions and get to know you more on this process. So, yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my goodness. I love it. You know, for those of you who don't know Melissa, okay, so I'll give you a little quick like snippet. The pair of us back in 2020, in that middle of COVID, in the middle of all things happening, we're like looking outwards. Okay, we know we've got something on our heart. We know we've got businesses to launch. We know we're meant to be doing something. What the flip is it? And we were out there going like, who, and so we were a firm, I think it was Fast Foundations with Chris and Laurie Harder is how you and I met. And Alison and I met in Project Next with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. And we met in these breakout rooms. And from there, I was like, I need people to run with. I can't do this alone. And so I'm like, oh, Melissa, would you like to come and join us? Oh, Dale, would you like to come and join us? Oh, Alison. In fact, Dale was hilarious. I got onto a breakout room with her and I burst into tears. Like that was my welcome to her. She was like, why don't you like social media? And I'm like, why don't I like social media? And it was like my ex-husband. It was just like, it was nuts. Anyway, four of us have literally, Alison, myself, Melissa, and Dale have rocked up every week and we've just journeyed together. And I have watched this incredible, powerful lady blossom. I have watched her break chains, be brave and courageous beyond my understanding, and just like, it's like she literally puts her armor of God on and says, right, I'm in, let's go. And she just goes. And the rest of us are like, coming to catch up, Melissa. Like but it's brilliant. And she has launched Girls Positivity Club. She's the founder. Not only did she launch that and her coaching, but she's recently launched an LLC as well and taken on. And I love her. She's like, okay, I need a board. Okay, I need to learn this. Okay, I need to learn the strategies. And I have watched you go from a solopreneur, one man band with a heart to see girls just be released to a CEO, to someone who leads, to someone with, I mean, you've always had integrity, but you are now a true leader. And so thank you when I said, would you would you mind coming and speaking at our summit? And you and the team have spoken every year at my conferences, but this was different. This was like, Melissa, would you open your heart and would you tell the truth to people about this is not an easy journey? And I was actually trying to look for the Elon Musk quote because there was one about
Hmm.
somebody says, I don't know what it is, but it's a quote around, can you tell us what to do or whatever it is? And he said, if you're asking me to tell you what to do, you're not an entrepreneur. Like, just don't go into business. Like, don't do this. You've got to, because you have got to be all in. And that's you. And you have given me so much inspiration. You've blessed me with so much courage and so much faith. And I want to celebrate you right here, right now, for the mighty woman that you are and the lives that you have already changed, as well as the lives still to come. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
An amazing introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, that's who you are. Like, we're friends.
Yeah,
Like, this is not just like,
yeah,
oh, she's some amazing lady. She does all this stuff. She's like a real woman. I've seen her. I've seen her in her jammies. I've seen her when she's come back from the gym. I have seen, we do life together. We're not
mhm.
just fluffing.
Yes.
So welcome, Jesse. Jesse, this is the first time he's met Melissa. He's heard lots
It's
about
an
her.
honor.
This is the first time they've actually met. And Jesse, I'd love you because I know Melissa quite well. I might ask some questions because I know her, but I want you to come in, Jesse,
Of course.
fresh. Like, oh, can I ask this question? And just feel free to interject. Otherwise, we'll just chat and that'll be rude. But what I will do, Melissa, I know I sent you my life questions because those are the ones I ask everyone. And I think it's unfair to put people on the spot without giving them time to think. But for people who don't know you, is there anything you want to share about you before I ask about love and what you love and who you do? Is there anything you want to share for people?
There's so many things, but I think that you know, the heart of what I do really comes from a need that I had in myself when I was growing up, and also a need that my mom had. And I had a 23-year teaching career, and I saw the same need in my students. And I think that that is really my deep why is to because I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced what it feels like to not feel enough or to need a positive place to be around people your own age. And I think that, like you said earlier, I started just on my own completely of just this idea that I had. And I really got the idea in my dad's hospice room. And it was a true calling. And I believe it was God talking to me. And I recently kind of discovered that had my dad not gotten sick with brain cancer and passed away, I told her that I don't know that this would have been birthed. I don't know that I miss my dad, and he was such a positive influence on my life. And at the same time, I feel like his passing had purpose. And I don't know that I would have, I don't know. I mean, maybe I still would have, but I don't know that I would have done what I've done in creating something if I wouldn't have had that calling in his hospice room. And I think that, yeah, it all just comes back to helping kids and people feel like they belong simply for being who they are and feeling loved. And that's really the root of everything. And, especially starting from just an idea that I had in my dad's hospice room to trying it out with my students to, now we're a charity, now we're a nonprofit. And it was, all along the way, it's been like, when is it going to be easier? And I think that's what I can bring to this conversation is it's okay to still be in the middle and it's okay to be, in the messy middle, as they say. I feel like I really am there. And but one thing that's never wavered with me is I am clear, not on every step, but I'm clear on my purpose and I'm clear on my calling and I know what I'm here to do. And that's been a true blessing in my life.
Wow, 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 wow. It's funny, isn't it? It's not till you interview somebody. We've journeyed for 5 years, and it was when my dad passed that
Mm,
things opened. Isn't that interesting? I hadn't seen that before. That was the point at which it crossed over for me and the tide turned. And it was, yeah, just very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And I love the fact that when we get clear on our purpose and we get clear, it's not what we say yes to, it's what we say no to because it's not in line
right.
with where God's calling us. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. Well, actually, it leads me really nicely. That's like that was so easy. Thanks. And I'm just going to say, can you keep fairly close to your mic because it's just sort of popping in and out as we're speaking. It's just one of those things when you get those beautiful mics that it just can sometimes. I know with a radio station and you have your own podcast as well. It's like, oh, that's right. I need to because you kind of react.
Yes.
Oh no, I need to stay close to the mic. But
Yes.
what is it that you love because you've just talked about your why and your pain, but what is it that you love about who you are and what you do now?
I would say, who I am and what I do is 1,000% aligned. And it's not that I've ever been out of alignment necessarily, but I just feel like especially helping girls and now boys feel like they have a place to belong is just, I just love being someone who shows up with care, and I really care about all the families that we serve. And I really just feel very connected, especially for girls. And, because that's at the root of everything, is that's where I started, was helping girls feel like they can be encouraged, they can feel good about who they are, they can come as they are and also belong and have community. And so I just feel like I'm living my values, and I'm not a perfect person at all. Of course, I make mistakes and there are things, but I do, at the core of everything, I feel like I'm the most proud that I really am who I say I am, and I live the way that I'm teaching the girls. And yeah, I just feel very aligned with what I'm doing, even though there's a lot that's hard. I still feel like, I go to sleep at night and I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I am being myself, which is what I teach the girls.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you can go to bed at night in peace, that things may still be messy. Things may still not have like, and I know that you're still in the thick of everything. It's not like, oh, I woke up one morning and God said, here, can you just do Girls Positivity Club? By the way, I've given you 23 years of teaching, so you've already got the experience. By the way, that day when you sat on the bed and your mum found you, I've given you
Yeah.
the reason, I've given you all of that stuff. By the way, can you just do this? And then it just opens door and everything's easy. No. And I loved when you said earlier, it's like, when is it going to get easier? Like, God,
Um,
seriously, when is this going to get easier? And I remember somebody gave me a wonderful word of wisdom that I have held on to very early on when I came to Jesus. Because I just wanted a comfortable life. Like, I just wanted everything to be nice, everything to be fluffy, I still want that, by the way. But
yeah.
she said, Sally, don't think for a moment that life is going to be comfortable. I'm like, oh, that's a bit disappointing. I kind of gave my life to Jesus because I wanted it that way. And she said, Anna, God is the God of uncomfortable. What? You mean I jumped in without knowing that? But what he does every time it's uncomfortable, he takes us to a new level and
Yeah.
he overcomes in every season. And I love for you particularly, and I don't know whether people picked up on that when I asked about love. One of the keys, one of the gold, those pieces that Melissa brings, and I'm sure she'll share it at the event, is permission to make mistakes. If
Mm.
you're moving and taking action, whether it's in the right way or not, God will move in that. And I love the fact that Melissa is so real. Hey, guys, I stuffed up. Oh, look at that. That was a whoopsie, or whatever it might. That's my expression, obviously not yours. But you are so humble that you will make mistakes in front of the girls. And what I love most, because by the way, if you ever want to go to a cooking demonstration or you want to learn about making exciting things, go and hang out with this lady. She does the most amazing things with the girls and encourages them. But of course, what sometimes happens is somebody forgets to put the baking powder in and then it doesn't rise or whatever it might be. And I love how Melissa celebrates that. She
Mhm.
celebrates that they tried. She celebrates that they've made a cake, that it's unique. It is a little bit biscuit like, but it's
Yeah.
still amazing, like, and so I love you that you give people permission to make mistakes so that kids will have a go. I don't know, and I need to go on to insight, but I feel like you will have seen it at school is where it's all about performance, getting it right, doing the right thing, da da da, and then kids back off because they
Mhm.
don't want to do it because they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to get it wrong. And actually, you're righting that wrong by giving them celebrating that they did it, that they gave it their best. Didn't get the end result, but they'll know better next time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We talk about that a
So
lot.
go ahead, Melissa. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say we talk about that a lot in everything we do, and I'm very intentional about at camp. we do summer camps and then we do clubs. And I still run a club and I'm very involved in the camp. And we have leaders who run the other clubs just because I can't be in 16 different places at once, unfortunately. And I want it to grow beyond me so that women are also having impact on girls' lives and boys' lives too. And so, yeah, I mean, even when we do a canvas painting or anything, it's like the girls that have been with me know that I always say, if you make a mistake, make something out of it. And that's just a common saying that we have is, you know, just seeing that the mistake, of course, you don't want to make the mistake, but you learn from it. And it's hard in the moment to hear that sometimes, but there are times when it just happens. And so I share stories. We share stories about times that we've, made mistakes and make it very common and make it very human that that happens. And then that gives them permission that when something does go wrong in club or outside of club or camp or outside of camp, that they can handle it and know that even though it doesn't feel good, it's okay and it's part of just learning and growing.
Hmm. Which is really good, and I might want to go on to the next question as far as Sally for because for me it just this has been fantastic, and I've been gathering a lot of tidbits, and it actually reminds me of a story I want to share to kind of lead into the question. But the questions I'm going to ask is like what since this is a summit about leadership, and you're sharing a lot about your leadership and kind of what you did, I love to kind of just hear like what you're planning to kind of like what tidbits you're planning to bring as far as insights to the people coming to the conference and the summit. But the story that's, while you're thinking about that and just kind of I love this idea of the authenticity and failing because I actually there's a time that I was in my work too, and I walked in, and somebody at this professional job, everyone's wearing suits and things. They opened up the freezer and they pulled out the ice tray, and the ice went everywhere, and they were just all embarrassed and everything. And it just hit me, and I'm like, I helped them, pick it up and whatnot, and they were really thankful. We get to know each other, and it hit me like that that in some ways is a failure, right? And they failed at dropping ice. It's a silly analogy, but it allowed for me to actually then cover them and help them. And I really do feel like that, in leadership, it's is that like, yeah, should we, if we're going to actually need people to help us and cover us, then we can't be perfect because then they have nowhere to play. And I don't want to speak for you, but I mean that's something that I think that is maybe something that could be bring to the summit in some ways. Like you can speak more to that about leadership and belonging. And I love belonging too. It's one of my life callings that I help people achieve. But yes, speak to that. Hmm.
I love that. I would say, as far as leadership goes, I'm a servant leader. I believe in servant leadership. I think that um, also being transparent about how you don't always know the way. You can be clear and still be in the middle of making decisions and trying to figure out how something is going to go, and that's okay and that's part of it. I mean, you don't always have to have the perfect clarity. And I think the biggest thing I've learned too as a leader is that I can bring to the summit is um, like Sally said earlier, like taking consistent action, even if you're not sure if it's the exact perfect step. And what stalls you is being paralyzed and not taking any action. And I've also been there. So I think even when you're building something, especially from your imagination, it's like you almost have to surrender to, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I just know it is. I don't know the exact path. And I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect path, but I know that I'm going to get to the other side. And especially when you have a big vision or a big calling, sometimes you can feel like you're a bit stuck in the forest and you're trying to stay on the path. And sometimes there's a path that's you didn't expect. And you take that path and you're like, wrong way, turning around, and other times it's like, okay, this is actually better than what I was going to do. And so, even like with the boys, it's always been Girls Positivity Club, but our the way I started our charity is, or nonprofit, however you want to think of it, is I feel like, I mean, they're one and the same, obviously, but people say it in different ways. But is like, I wanted it to be called the Positivity Organization because in my mind, I've always had this big vision of yes, girls are my first priority because of what I went through and what Sally was describing earlier. I had at 15 um, suicidal. I wouldn't say an attempt, but I was in the act, and my mom walked in on me, and it was it was hard. I think for both of us. Obviously, I had gotten so lost inside, and I was just struggling with my own inner chaos and things growing up, and I didn't have community. I didn't have belonging. I didn't feel that, and I felt very lost outside of my home. At home, I felt belonging. I felt loved. I felt supported. And so there was a real disconnect once I left my front door. And I think it's, when you're in a position where you're very clear on what your mission is and you're very clear on certain things.
Yeah.
I wanted to call it the positivity organization because I always knew I wanted to open it up to boys too, and moms, and whoever down the line, because I believe in building community where people belong, feel loved, feel accepted, and can do fun things while they're together. So I
Love
don't
it.
know if that answers your full question, but that's what I thought of.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Whew. Oh my goodness. I love this. I love so the insights, for anyone listening, for anyone thinking. So I will give you a quick bit of background on Melissa that I didn't share was when I met Melissa, she was a full-time teacher. She was still in that role. She'd started up, she just knew that this was a thing. So she was, and I love the fact that she went, right, I'm just going to see what this is like in the school I'm in. That was the first step. See how it goes. Oh my goodness, this is really working. So there's this, she's gone step by step. She's never rushed. Oh, and then another school wanted to know. And then another school wanted to know. And not only has she done that, but just as she said, if you're listening to this and you have a picture, like she's got to bring to life the unseen into the seen realm. So she was given this picture, which you've just shared here, of a positivity organization. You started with girls. You've recently, within the last 6 months, added boys, and it has massively taken off, like next level, quicker. And obviously, because the girls was like, oh, I'll just do this bit, I'll just do this bit. But because you flex those muscles, the boys are like, yeah, 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 yeah. And boys being boys are like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So they're like, they're really pumping. And of course, you're doing different things with the girls than you do with the boys because boys are not going to sit in color. That's just not their gig. But give them a tractor or an engine or something practical or a game to play, bring it on. So, but also in there, you mentioned mums. And I love one thing that many won't be aware of is that Melissa's mum is on this journey with her. That what the enemy meant for evil that day when her mum found her sitting on her bed with a gun in her hand has been turned for so much good. And that it isn't just the child. And as Melissa said, she had a beautiful upbringing. Her parents were amazing, and still her mum remains amazing, and her dad upstairs still remains amazing. But we can just get isolated. Things can happen. We can move region or move town, and things can shift. And as children, we can feel so lost and so empty that outside of home, it's unsafe. So I love you, Melissa, because you bring what God has given you, the visions He's given you, and you don't know how, you just know, like,
Yeah.
okay, this is where He's taking me. And it's okay not to know how. Just do the
Yeah.
next step. And
Yeah.
so I think that leads us nicely into freedom. Because
Mm.
what freedom, not having to know every step, like just running with God, and you do run. Like this woman, she's doing a marathon, but at like sprinter rates, just quietly. So What freedom are people going to get from coming as you speak and you share from your heart as a leader of Girls and Now Boys Positivity Club? So it is a positivity club, regardless of whether you're male or female. I love it. What freedom do you think people are going to get on the other side of you sharing?
I think, like you said, it's like you just have to keep taking the step
Yeah.
and the next step and the next step. It's like I have faith, but it doesn't mean I don't have doubt or I don't have a day where I'm like, okay, what? What just happened? Like, I didn't expect this to happen. And, you know, both ways. It's like Boys Positivity Club started because I had a teacher or a counselor who, because our leaders are teachers and counselors and mostly school personnel. And there's a whole reason behind that. But it's like, she said, could I try this for the boys? I'll pilot it for you. And I was not ready. But I trusted that I was like, I'm being nudged. And I
Hmm.
do want to do it anyway. And I felt that nudge. And it would have been easier to say no. It would have been easier to say nope. And I wanted to start earlier, but I'm like, you know what? No, it's not the right time. This is for the girls, the girls, the girls. I've got to get this foundation built. And I've built it. And then last year, a leader named Kate came to me and said, I'll pilot it. And I literally built it out of nothing. I mean, same with the girls, but I mean, I was just like, okay, what do boys want? I'm a boy mom. I've taught boys. I know how boys respond to things. And then it's like, I think it's the freedom that everything that you've gone through has prepared you for what you're doing in the moment, even if you don't know fully what it is, or
Yeah.
even if you're still figuring it out. And so I think also saying yes and trying something that you aren't quite ready for is good, and you can always pump the brakes if you need to. It's like it doesn't have to be a forever
Yeah.
thing. If you're on that path, like I said earlier, kind of like the forest or the analogy, it's like you can turn around too, or you can climb a tree, or you can do whatever. And it's like you can figure out something else. And then even the first group of boys last year, it was like maybe 9 months ago that we started, but it's like I tried to do something more aligned. Well, not whatever. It's both aligned, but I tried to do something. I was like, wait a minute. This can't be identical to the girls, like you were saying. It's like boys are built differently. And so the first lesson we did, I got feedback from her. And then I went a different direction. I'm like, okay, yep, go with what you know about this and just trust yourself. And I think that too is trusting your intuition and, Jesus and God being with you and just leaning into that and being like, one of the things I say to myself a lot is I know what to do. And it doesn't mean I always know the perfect thing to do, but it's like, the next best small step. And if you don't, it's okay to pause and wait a little bit, but not so long that you're going to be stuck. And so I think freedom is just trusting that you can have a responsibility and you can also have non clarity that you're still trying to figure out, and you can still know what you're called to do and it be messy.
Hmm.
So I think it's the freedom and permission to know that, I mean, I'm still in the mess. Like I am, there are certain parts that are not messy, and then there are certain things it's like once you figure one thing out, kind of like what Sally said earlier, it's like, when is this going to be easy? Like, what is this? And there are certain things that are easier. I mean, and I think it's also a freedom to look back and see your progress, because even
Yeah.
a year ago, just thinking about just how far I've come just in a year in certain areas is like, holy cow, like I forgot about that. I forgot that I didn't even have this last year. And now I'm all the way over here because I kept going. And I've
Yeah.
also cried, and I've also felt like giving up. And I think people are afraid to say that too. It's like, okay, God, is this the right thing? Like, is this really my calling? Am I supposed to give up right now? Because it feels so hard. I mean, just the last 6 months or 6 weeks alone have felt like trudging through mud. And it's like, okay, nope, I keep going. I just keep thinking about like the desert period and like, in history and everything. And it's like, okay, this is, I'm getting through the desert or I'm getting through the storm or whatever it is. And yeah, I feel like I'm starting to ramble. But yeah, that's tying it back to freedom is just kind of like giving yourself permission to cry and feel like giving up, but then be like, no, I'm going to check in with myself and I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So, what's my next best tiny step forward and do that? And then what's my next step and my next step?
Thank you. It is very cool that even that it sounds like exactly what we're building with this conference and the summit that we're doing. We keep calling it a summit because it's like it's not the traditional leadership. And I love what you're talking is you're not talking in a good way like a traditional leader. I mean, I think traditional leaders try to bring their best foot forward and they don't they don't show the journey of how you got there and that's something that I even thought as a leader too. It's like, I'm not I mean, I've wore suits before, but I'm not the suit and I'm getting better. My wife is helping me to actually trying to dress better and be more professional. But at the same time, I feel like there's an element of um, I don't fit the mold of a traditional leader. But when I started branding myself, it's like, well, I can either brand myself as the guy that does all the steps to freedom and whatever, or I could just be like, you know what, I'm who I am, and I come alongside of you, I lead from behind, I help you get there, and just the authenticity, and I just feel like that's very refreshing. I can brand messy, and sounds like you're the same way. It's just like, you know what, let's get in the mess and let's get there. And I do feel like Jesus did the same thing. He got in the mess. He came down to us and he got and then he led from the bottom up. And I just really love that you're sharing these insights as well to help those listening that it's like you can be a leader even if you don't think you're a leader. So thank you
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
lowering the bar in a good way, meaning that it's like lowering the entry, meaning that like of course God brings us higher, but like coming
Right.
in, people will say, "Well, I'm not a leader, I can't come." Yes, you are. It's like you are a leader, and like you were saying, if you don't give up, you're gonna make it. You're just gonna keep, and then that's part of leadership. I think is the tenacity, even if you don't think you are a leader, to start and keep going and keep persevering, and when it's hard ask the Lord to help you and keep going. And life doesn't get easier, but we get stronger and we push through. So, yes.
Yeah, I agree. That's great. Yes.
And for anyone listening to this, this is why these guys are my besties, because they've seen me in my worst times, they've seen me in my best times, but they are both prepared whew, to lock arms and
Mhm.
keep going. And that's what we do. We all are, and we're all doing our thing, but we want to run with others. We want to, and Melissa, both of us have had times where we're like, okay, I'm out, I'm done. Both of us have said, right, that's it. I'm going to go back and stack supermarket shelves. And that is no disrespect to anybody who does that at all. It is not, I'm not, putting that down in any shape or form. But we were like, this is too hard. This is really, and it is tough. It is,
Yeah.
we can't sugarcoat that. But when we do those tiny steps, as Melissa says, and just as, Jesse, I love the fact that he calls his business above the sun, you know,
Mm.
because when we are looking up.
Yeah.
We are looking to where the truth is, where the inspiration comes from. But what I love about Jesse, he might be looking up and he might be he is incredibly creative. He has visions, he sees stuff, God gives him stuff, just like you, Melissa. But what I love about both of you is your feet are firmly on the ground. You're not
Mhm.
like, la, 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 it's all about, like, no, no, it's hard yards, let's go. Which brings me to kind of my final question. For me, the reason I wear this cross is to remind me that everything that I am comes from above. And if I come on, God, what are you showing me? What's my next step? Come on, I need you now. Give me what I need. and I get filled with him first before I then go out. And so I guess for our leaders that are coming, many of them will be Christians, many of them will, some may not walk with the Lord, but most are of the faith. And they're like, right, I am ready to run, but I just need some courage or I need some wisdom or whatever it might be. And you've given both lots in all that we've shared. But I'm going to ask you a bit of a curly question. How has your relationship with God and how has that then affected kind of what's happened in your relationship with others in this season? Because as we all know, this is not a straight line. It gets messy. So how
Mhm.
have your relationships improved by stepping in, keeping the faith, keeping going, keeping your determination? What are you going to share? What's that going to help others to find in that space in their engagement?
I think the biggest thing is that, faith doesn't mean you have all the answers. It's continuing to show up and to, I pray all the time. Like I have a dedicated time in the morning, but it doesn't have to look like everyone else's. And I think I always thought that it did. It had to look strict or it had to look a certain way or um, I had to sound a certain way. And I think the biggest thing I learned is that God and Jesus, like they already know me. So I don't have to do it like everybody else or say the right thing. Like I can be myself and I can also say that I'm struggling or I just need peace or I just
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes it's quiet. Like sometimes I'm like, are you there? Like, are you still there? And I know that he is, but it's continuing to just be like, it doesn't have to be loud all the time for me to have faith and for me to
Mhm.
keep believing and keep figuring it out for myself. Like, not for myself, but you know what I mean? Like, figuring out my
Yeah.
own journey in my faith because, yeah, it's mine and I know that I'm not alone and I feel a different kind of inner peace about that.
Mhm.
And I think I felt very chaotic early on because, yeah, I think I just didn't know how to trust completely because hard things happen. And sometimes when hard things happen, you feel alone. And I think it's just continuing to believe that you're not alone. And
Well
he's
said.
always there.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
just
that's been
amazing
a
that you're
big
able.
shift.
I'm sorry, what? Big
I
shift.
said that was a big shift for me. Yeah. It's just like, oh, you've always been here.
Absolutely. I mean, and you can't do without the Father, which is the best, I think the best advice for any leader. And it is amazing how much you've done, being like you've done so much and you've accomplished so much in leadership and you have teams now and you're changing the world and you're doing so well and it's just staying humble and saying that, I can't do it without God. It's really, really, really incredible. So it's been such a pleasure talking with you
Thank you.
today and just hearing all of your insights and all of your tidbits. And I know there's plenty more that is coming at the summit, and I'm very excited that you're going to bring so much. And it's just, yeah, I mean, and the fact that you are doing so much, I just want to give you the opportunity to kind of, before you do a final statement or whatever, I want you just to kind of share like where people can find you, just kind of what are you doing, because I know you're doing so much, but where can they follow you?
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah.
the time and just the care that you both have taken care of me during this interview.
Yeah.
Um, I would say Facebook and Instagram Girls Positivity Club is where they can check out, just different social media that I've done. And then the website girlspositivityclub.org. And if you are a parent raising a girl, I have a podcast called Raising Confident Girls, and I do 2 episodes a week. So that was an up level this year. It's like I just had this like I just felt like I needed to do, and that's that, intuition, that whisper that I listen to is like, you need to do 2 episodes. So the first is on Tuesdays, and it's a full episode. It's teaching just how to empower the girls in your life, and then the ones on Friday are called Pep Talk Fridays, and I just speak directly to the parent. And that all came from, what would my mom have needed growing up, and for me, and to support her. And so that's where that came from. So yeah, raising confident girls anywhere you listen to podcasts, and girlspositivityclub.org has everything, and I appreciate all of your time.
Awesome. Well, any final statement before Sally kind of just takes us home? And I mean, thank you so much. But anything you want to kind of finally say to people watching and before you go?
I would say definitely come to the summit. I know Sally so well, and I know that anything that she gets behind is legit, and it's real, and it's not only going to give you good strategy and good application in your everyday life, but that it's going to have a lot of heart behind it, and it's going to have a lot of just deep meaning for you. I know she's changed my life, and even I've taken her courses, I've done work with her as well, and it really is life changing, and you just have to experience it for yourself. And it's also a place where you can belong, with other people who are figuring it out. And even if someone on paper, or however you want to say it, like on their bio, looks like they have done so many things, and they've accomplished so much, they've had a road to get there, and just to
Yeah.
remember that you're on your road as well, and not everybody talks about the road. And I think that's something that we're all trying to change, is when especially you accomplish so much, share your journey with other people, because you never know who it could help.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you.
See, I don't even have anything to wrap it up with because you guys have just completely nailed it. I love it. So, Father God, just thank you. Thank you for Melissa. Thank you for Jesse. Thank you for this time together. Thank you for each person listening to this interview. Thank you, Lord, for all the people that you are bringing who are real, who are raw, who are fed up of the front facing, look at me, look at me, look at me. This is brilliant. Everything's easy. Because actually, that's not true. So, Lord, we thank you for Melissa and the message that she carries, that she's going to bring to this summit. That is true, that is earthy, that is messy, that is real, that is raw, that is going to open heaven for each person who is there. So, Lord, I just ask that you will bless her marriage, and Jesse, bless their marriages, bless those that are listening, bless your marriages, bless your homes, bless your health, bless your finance, bless all that are in this space. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.